Alright, so today's notes are all about ratios and proportions. A little bit of a refresher from middle school, hopefully. So for our warm-up, first we need to find n for triangle PQR if the measures of all the angles are these expressions. And since we know the measure of all the angles of a triangle add to be 180, let's add them up and set them equal to 180. So 12n minus 15 plus 7n plus 26 plus 8n minus 47 equal to 180. So let's combine like terms. We have a 12n, a 7n, and an 8n. 12n plus 7n is 19n plus 8n is 27n. Then we also have negative 15, positive 26, negative 47, sorry. Negative 15 plus 26 is 11, and 11 minus 47 is negative 36, equal to 180. We're going to add 36 to both sides. So we're left with 27n equal to sorry. Started subtracting. 120. 16. Temporary dyslexia on that one. Alright, now we divide by 27. Cancel out the 27s. And n comes out to be equal to 8. My bad on that one. Thought all the bells had rung. Alright, and now our next one, we need to find the range of the measures of the third side of a triangle, given the measures of the two sides are 43 and 29. So if you remember back to the notes from last time, all we had to do, I showed you the reasoning, all we had to do was add them up to get the maximum it could be, and subtract them to get the difference that they should, or the minimum that they could be. The third side, not they. So, 43 plus 29 gets us 72, and 43 minus 29 gets us 14. So the range of our mysterious third side, we're going to call it x, is somewhere between 14 and 72. So our vocab for today: ratio, extended ratios, proportions, extremes, means, cross products. So our first one, we need to find the ratio of the number of athletes to the total number of students at Central High School, and so it's athlete to student. So let's first off, a little refresher. Ratios can come in various forms. They can be let's just throw some numbers out there. It could be 1 to 2, and with a colon in between. It can be 1 over 2 as a fraction. They could be a decimal, 0.5, or they can be a percentage at 50%. So just a real reminder that ratios can come in 4 different forms. This says to give it in the nearest tenth, so that means we are looking for the third one, the decimal. So we want the fraction, and then we can divide and get our decimal out. So we're looking for the ratio of athletes to students, or total. So that means there are 520 athletes to 1,850 total students. First thing's easy, we can eliminate the zeros to simplify. Now let's go ahead and change this to a fraction because we can't simplify this any further. So 52 over 185, which when you divide actually comes out to be about, rounded to the nearest tenth, 0.3. This next one here wants us to look at the school days in a year in China. So we want school days to total days. So that's going to be 251 to 365. Can't simplify these, so 251 over 365. It does say to give it in decimal form, rounded to the nearest tenth. So 251 divided by 365, rounded to the nearest tenth, is 0.7. Extended ratios. This is where they're going to come into play. Now, it tells us the ratio that measures the angles of a triangle, 5 to 12 to 13. And then it gives us the perimeter. Perimeter has to do with side length, not angles, so the perimeter is extra information. We want to find the measures of the angles. So, how can we use a ratio to do that? Remember, ratios are just simplified down from the actual amount, right? So that means that these numbers, 5, 12, and 13, got to be 5, 12, and 13 by simplifying down. They were simplified by some common number, some common constant. So we'll call it x. So it would be 5x to 12x to 13x. So we can, now that's what the actual angles are, right? 5 times some number, 12 times that same some number, 13 times that same some number. And we know that the angles of a triangle add to be 180. So 5x plus 12x plus 13x is equal to 180. So 5 plus 12, 17. 17 plus 13, 30x equal to 180. We divide by 30. And get rid of the zeros. And 18 divided by 3, x is equal to 6. Now, we want to actually know the measure of the angles. We now have our constant, so all we have to do is multiply our constant by our ratios. So 5 times 6, 12 times 6, and 13 times 6. 5 times 6 is 30 degrees. 12 times 6 is 72 degrees. 13 times 6 is 78 degrees. And all of these should add up to be 180, and they do. Same process for this problem. 3 to 5 to 7, that's the ratio for the angles, so we need to find those measures. So same process. 3 to 5 to 7, 3 to x, 3x to 5x to 7x. So 3x plus 5x plus 7x is equal to 180. So, once again, add all the ones on the side. 3 plus 5 is 8, 8 plus 7 is 15, x equal to 180. We divide by 15, and x is equal to 12. So once again, plug it back in. 3 times 12, 5 times 12, and 7 times 12. 3 times 12 is 36. 5 times 12 is 60. And 7 times 12 is 84. And once again, these need to add to be 180. And so once again, these all should add to be 180, and they do. So the next theorem is the cross products property. In a proportion, the product of the extremes equals the product of the means. So cross products, extremes, and means were all part of our vocab. Extremes are the 4 and 15, in red there, and the means are the blue, the 10 and 6. So we just need to solve some proportions. That's all we're doing the rest of these notes. This first one, 6 over 18.2 equal to 9 over y. Just got to cross multiply. So 6 times y is 6y. And 9 times 18.2 is that to be 163.8. Then we divide by 6 on both sides. And y is equal to 27.3. Now that's That's all we needed to find. Our next problem, we're looking for x here. And now we have an expression on the top of one of our proportions, so that's going to be a little bit different. Going to cross multiply still. It's going to be 6 times 4x minus 5 equal to 3 times negative 26. So I'm going to distribute the 6. 6 times 4x is 24x. 6 times negative 5 is negative 30. And 3 times negative 27 is negative 78. I'm going to add 30 to both sides. So 24x is equal to negative 48. And we divide by 24. X is equal to negative 2. Now our last problem says that Monique randomly surveyed 30 students from her class and found that 18 had a dog or a cat for a pet. If there were 870 students in Monique's school, we need to predict the total number of students with a dog or a cat. So we just need to set up our proportion and cross multiply. So we know that 18 out of 30 had a dog or cat in her class. We need to know out of 870 students, how many had a dog or cat. So we cross multiply. 30 times x is equal to 18 times 870. Comes out to be 15,660. Then we divide by 30 on both sides. And get rid of the zeros. And 3 goes into 15 5 times. 3 goes into 6 2 times, and again 2 times. 522 students estimated have a dog or a cat in her whole school. Here's your exit ticket.